little harder, stack those sats, don't stack the dollar.
Right, well, today I thought I'd do a video on why I'm choosing to attempt to get to 1 Bitcoin and why I'm choosing to invest in Bitcoin and not other things like gold, silver, or traditional stocks, or having a long-term ISA account or anything like that. Why Bitcoin specifically? Well, I'm doing this as a long-term pension plan, basically. I'm 33 now, and I think if I start to invest in Bitcoin now, by the time I'm of pension age, let's say 65, 70, it will be a decent nest egg for me to retire on. A better nest egg than if I was to pay into a traditional pension plan, for example. Also, by then, I would hope that I've got a family and it's putting them in good stead for their future as well. Because I'm getting old and I'm having to start to think about these kind of things. So it's a long-term plan. I'm not looking to get rich quick. I'm not looking to trade or anything like that. To me, it seems to be the soundest investment for those long-term pension plan gains. I'll give you a story about my mum, who she's now 71. Now, when she was working, she was a single mum working, she was paying into a pension that she was meant to take when she was 60. And I can't remember the exact dates or the exact years, but it got to the point where she was 60. And then they said, oh, no, actually, it's going to be 62 now. And then she got to 62. And then said, oh, it's going to be 64 now. I can't remember the exact years, but basically, it was due to be taken at 60. And in the end, she managed to take it when she was 66. So she lost out on 6 years of pension money there, which is scandalous, obviously. And it was a bit of a scandal because it didn't just happen to her. It happened to lots of women in the UK. So that shook her, obviously. And I was in my early 20s at the time, and I was thinking, this pension thing, this doesn't sound fun. If they can just kick it back at will and just say, nah, you're not having that. So now, I mean, my mum's 71 now, and she's a Bitcoiner now, by the way, as well, which is good. But that just made me think and realise, maybe this idea of, giving somebody else your nest egg to look after isn't the best idea if at will they could just say, no, we're not going to give you that anymore. Nah, give it you in 6 years. And that was whenever, 10 years ago. So when I go to take my pension in 30 odd years, who knows? I don't like the idea of having my value, my stored up nest egg in any third party. I like the idea of self-custody. I like the idea of self-responsibility, so I have control over my value. That appeals to me more. And we only saw a few years ago things coming out like, oh well, if you don't do this, you can't work. If you don't do this, you can't travel. So who knows, in 35 years time, when I take my pension, there might be another thing going around saying, well, unless you do this, you don't get your pension. So to me, it's not a sound idea. Good girl. The whole fiat money system in general, I don't have much faith in. the pound coin itself, I don't have much faith in. If you think of it this way, if I've got, say, £10,000 in the bank, and there's a centralised group of people that could just print more cash at will, out of thin air, and every time they do that, the value of my saved cash goes down because they've just diluted the entire currency. I've just been taxed there. I've just been robbed covertly. There's nothing I can do about it. So even having a savings account in pounds, I come up with the same issue. You know, this idea of inflation and prices going up for everything all the time. Prices are going up and up and up. You know, eggs used to be £1.20 for 6. Now you go into the shop for £2.20, £2.40. You know, an egg is an egg. The price of the egg isn't becoming more valuable. The egg isn't becoming more scarce. But the purchasing power of the pound is decreasing. That's what it is. And it will continue to decrease and decrease and decrease. So when I come to draw my pension, when I'm 65, 70, whatever, imagine what the value of the pound will be then. Eggs will be like, who knows? But it's not going down. Pound isn't deflating, it's inflating. So for a long-term store of value, which is what I'm looking for, any kind of savings in pounds, in fiat, ain't going to be it. So I'm left with a few options. I could, I'm sure there's more options, but for me that I can think of as a dunce, let's say, that knows nothing about economics or anything like that, or investing really, I'm left with precious metals, gold and silver, etc., or Bitcoin. Now, during lockdown, I did actually buy some silver, and I bought my first bit of Bitcoin during lockdown as well. I did at that time think that everything was going to collapse, the world was going to end, etc. And I basically transferred all of my savings into silver. Probably not the wisest decision, probably not the most rational decision I've ever made, because the world didn't end, and then I've since had to sell quite a lot of that just to live because I needed the money. But I did buy some Bitcoin, I did buy some XRP at the time, but I'm not going to be investing in XRP moving forward. I'll do another video about that at some point. Since then, I've learned more about Bitcoin, what it is, Bitcoin specifically, rather than other coins. And to me, it seems that when you break it down and you look at the characteristics of what makes a good currency, things like divisibility, is it divisible? Is it portable? Is it durable? Is it recognizable? Is it finite? Things like this. Bitcoin outperforms even gold on most of those things. Now, gold is decentralized as well. There's no third party that can just go under my bed into a shoebox and debase the gold that I've got stored there. I don't have any gold stored there, but hypothetically. But, you know, is gold divisible? It's divisible, yeah, you know. But Bitcoin is divisible. One Bitcoin is divisible into 1 million units. So that's extremely divisible. Okay, they're both pretty divisible. Is it portable? Well, if I was to send $1 million worth of gold to Australia that's not that portable. I'd have to take it there by hand. I'd need security. I don't even know what I'd need, a plane. Right? It's portable to a certain extent, but not as portable as Bitcoin. I could send $1 million of Bitcoin to Australia in 10 minutes. It would cost me, whatever, £5. So Bitcoin is extremely portable, perfectly portable. So it outperforms gold and heavy metals in that regard. Is Bitcoin durable? Yes, it's durable. I mean, it lasts. How long does cryptographic code last? I don't know. For as long as you want. Is gold durable? Yes, very durable. So they're both pretty good. Is it recognizable? Well, gold is obviously very recognizable. Obviously, has been for like thousands of years. Is Bitcoin recognizable? It's getting there. It's definitely getting there. I think when I saw major institutions in the world begin to talk about it and invest in it, and even governments begin to say, okay, we need to invest in Bitcoin, that's when it started to really get recognizable. And I started to take notice as well. I'm thinking, okay, if even these big boys are starting to adopt it, I need to look into this a little bit more. It's no longer just some kind of nerdy thing on the internet. And then, is it finite? Well, yes. It's perfectly finite. Technology's now got to a point where we can design, say we, I didn't design it, where a perfectly finite currency has been created. Even gold isn't perfectly finite. I did hear someone say that every 50 years or so, the gold supply doubles. So it's very scarce. It's definitely scarcer than the potentially infinite fiat supply. But gold isn't perfectly finite. Whereas Bitcoin is technologically locked in, finite. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. And as more and more people adopt it, as more and more institutions adopt it and want more, there's less to go round. So the price will go up, the value of your coins will go up. So it's deflationary, it's perfectly finite, and it's decentralized. So to me, it seems like a better investment for what I want, which is a long-term pension plan for 10, 20, 30, 40 years of investing. For me, it seems like the best investment. Now, I'm no expert at all, but that's just me. I could be wrong, who knows. Yeah, if you think I'm wrong, let me know. If you think of any ideas of how I could get to that 1 Bitcoin, let me know. I don't really know anything about, things like leveraging, or, I've had some people in the comments say, take out a loan and buy Bitcoin and then pay back the loan, or leverage this and leverage this. I don't really know any of that stuff. So who knows how I'll get there, but we'll see. All right. Anyway, see you later.
Buy a little lower, try a little harder, stack those sats, don't stack the dollar. Buy a little lower, try a little harder, stack those sats, don't stack the dollar. Don't stack the dollar. Buy a little lower, try a little harder, stack those sats, don't stack the dollar.